Okay, evening folks. Good evening. Thank you all for jumping on tonight. So a very special call we got lined up this evening because our awesome Richard Maude has given us some of his time to jump on and give us a little bit of insight. Richard, are you happy to do a little Q&A at the end perhaps?
Yep, sure. I have actually muted everyone, but if they stick their hand up, I'm sure we can unmute them.
Yeah, I've already asked for a few questions, so we've got a few lined up ready to go at the end. So without further ado, listen, Richard, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We appreciate you taking your time out of your what must be an incredibly hectic schedule. So, so I didn't hear that. Are you muted?
I said, yeah, it is quite.
I can imagine. So listen, without further ado, Richard, over to you, mate, and I'll let any other people in. I'll take care of that side of things.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be on the call with you guys today. John's team is going phenomenally well, so it's always an honour to be on a team and supporting that. John asked me to just sort of come along and share some insights regarding CFX and what we're doing and how it can relate to yourself. Something that's really close to my heart that I want to talk about is, you know, the fact that this is a business that is a great leveler, doesn't matter what your background is. And if you decide you want to be successful, and that's a big factor, you have to decide that you want to be successful or make a lot of money in the business, then it's there for you. The great thing about CFX, it doesn't really matter. I mean, even if you just remain as a passive member, you know, your income will still grow up over time. It's really a matter of just time versus, you know, activity. I mean, there are three ways, for example, you can get the 100K pack. You can come in with $300 and just let it grow passively. It's going to take you a good few years to get there. But again, compared to anything else out there, you're still going to do it in a fraction of the time you can do it anywhere else. You can come in at a higher pack and watch your account grow more quickly up to the 100K, or you can come in with a small pack or a big pack and go to work and get yourself up to the 100K pack. And as John will no doubt tell you, once you get up to the 100K pack, it's a very nice position to be, because all of a sudden, all the money you're making from your business is your own money. You're no longer using that money to fund or, you know, your upgrades and that kind of thing. You're just withdrawing it. So it's a very nice place to be. And, you know, and this is something that we're seeing across the board. We've been, you know, I've been with the business now 21 months, and we've got people from all walks of life achieving remarkable things. Many of you will know of Hazel, for example, 70-year-old grandmother, you know, who is a director in the business on a 100K pack, 82 people frontline, which is remarkable, and, you know, building an incredible business. But, you know, there are other people. I've got people that were care workers, you know, working in McDonald's to make ends meet, again, work their way up to director, and making life-changing incomes and that kind of thing. So we see this across the board. But one of the things I want to talk about initially, by the way, for those of you that don't know me, just a bit of background on myself. I've been in network marketing for over 20 years. Originally, I was a sales director in the City of London. Something that I absolutely hated, even though it was a prestigious job with a significant income, but it was linear income, and that was something I couldn't understand. Even though I was making a lot of money, I just felt as if I wasn't. I felt like a hamster on a treadmill. Every January I was starting all over again, and what I didn't realize at the time was that I was selling my time for money. And when you get an understanding of this, you know, that is a mug's game. It really is. That's what the masses do, sell their time for money. But it's an incredibly inefficient way of doing things. What you want to do is get money working for yourself. And one of the great features of any network marketing company is that you can position yourself to be like that, making money work for you, creating leverage with a team of people, that kind of thing. So I started looking around at other things, looked at traditional business again, just saw the same thing, selling time for money, until I came across network marketing. And it's often easy to think that when you see someone that come from a corporate world, that it's easy for them. It really wasn't. I mean, it was. I was dreadful at network marketing. I actually got nowhere. My first year in network marketing was a very bad year in network marketing. I wasn't really getting anywhere. And I just figured out, look, there are people from all walks of life making money in this. So what are they doing that I need to do? And I just basically went to school. I started, buying books and watching CDs and just learnt my trade. And, but one of the key things, and this is something I want to talk about with CFX, is I treated the business as a real business. And I had a very strong why. And that was what motivated me, because let me tell you guys, it was really, really not easy. You can imagine, as a sales director with a commute, I was working long hours. So I had to, make time for my business as I was building it part-time. So I literally had no time freedom at all, literally none. I mean, I was working 24/7, 7 days a week, and every opportunity I had, whether I was in the car, lunch break, evenings, weekends, I was working my network marketing business, and treating it like a real business. One thing I realized is that, like any business, if you want to build a significant organization and make a lot of money, you have to find leaders. And leaders don't grow on trees. You are your own leader, and you want to find other people like yourself. And so, you have to sift. If you look at the numbers of you look at my business, for example, I've got, I think, around 115,000 members now in my team. But of that, only 2,000 are executives. I think 300 are managers, 65 are directors, and 6 are presidents. So it's a relatively small number. So you have to do the numbers to find it. Now, people are often afraid of talking about this. But we shouldn't be, because this is a business. It's a real business. So if you set up a traditional business, with overheads and costs and, employees and all that kind of thing, would it be realistic of you to say that, you would survive in your business by going out there and introducing 10 people? Of course you wouldn't. You fail. John, you're in window cleaning. How many customers have you got?
In the day job, about 500 customers.
Right, there we go. Okay. So, and it took you 5 years or whatever to build up to that level.
Yeah.
That's a real business. So what happens when people come into network marketing, they go, oh, well, one of the things I often hear is sort of say, well, I'm not a salesperson, or I'm not good at this or not good at that. Well, fine, learn. Simple as that, learn. I was no good at network marketing when I came into it. I just learned what I needed to do and then duplicated that. So it doesn't matter what your background is. And of course, the other misconception is that network marketing is about sales. It really isn't. If we had a product-based business, then I guess it would be. And I guess we are moving into a product-based business, but there's a sort of a slight different aspect to it. What we're selling or offering to people, rather, is a way of both making money and learning how to make money with the Academy program. Academy program is an incredibly important part of CFX. So it's really a matter of just being able to answer people's questions professionally. And of course, if you don't know how to do that initially, which you won't, I mean, no one will, I mean, I didn't, you then use your upline to answer your questions. And that's where the support structure comes in. But, the key thing is this: you've got to look at this like a real business. And that's what I figured out. I read books like The First Year in Network Marketing and that kind of thing. And they were saying things, go out there and recruit 100 people. And again, people go, 100 people, I can never do that. It's a huge mountain to climb. I can never do that. But you would be amazed. This is the thing about this. If you are doing your business properly, consistent activity. So I went through my warm market and got nowhere. People I knew. So I then decided to go to my cold market. So I then started thinking, okay, if I was running a business, what would I do? I started looking at things like, I used to leave leaflets in doctors' waiting rooms. I purchased leads. I did breakfast BNI meetings, breakfast networking events in the mornings. Just anything I could think of, everything and anything I could think of to generate leads for my business so that I could show them the business. Got loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of no's, but that's okay. What you're doing is you're looking for that no to quickly go through to the yes. So it really depends, by the way, and I should have said this to start off with, what you want to get from the business. You want to make a bit of extra money from CFX, that's great. But if you really want to make a lot of money, it really is there for you. And I just want you to understand what we've got with this business. If you look back in history, there are always times, there are trends, aren't there, where something new happens, the Industrial Revolution and stuff, and there are people in those markets that ended up becoming extremely wealthy. Well, how come? What was it that made those people successful? It was because they recognized what was happening and positioned themselves ahead of that market. You know, if you look at often you see scenarios, which is always, you know, it's very distressing and very unpleasant when this happens, where a particular industry or whatever is in a dying phase. And there are two types of people that have already long gone out of that industry into other things. They've predicted it, they've seen it's coming, and they've gone out there and you know, changed what they're doing. They've adapted. But then there are all the people that don't adapt, and they just trying to hang on to a dying market or whatever. And for example, the miners was a good example of that. Very distressful thing to see happening. But you don't want to be like that. You've got to be able to look ahead and see what's happening, you know, and position yourself ahead of that. Now, if you look at CFX, it probably doesn't really get much better than this for the average person. Not many people are going to be like, for example, Joe Jardinsa or some of the great industrialists from the past, you know, that have built massive business empires, because you've got to be a very particular kind of person to be able to do that. But that's one of the great features of network marketing, in that, you know, it's open to everyone. It's a gentle way of coming into a business. There are virtually no risks, which is a double-edged sword, by the way. You know, in a traditional business, you have risks because you've got costs and overheads you've got to pay for and everything else. So you have to make the business work. So, you know, that's, I call it the stick and the carrot. You've got both the stick, which is, you know, if you don't work, you're going to go bust. A carrot, you're building the business to make money. But in network marketing, we only have the carrot. You know, you're not going to go bust if you don't really go and make a big business with CFX. You can get to the end of the week and not done anything. That's okay. You know, not a big deal. But again, it gets back to, if you want to make the big money, then you do have to treat the business like a real business and treat it as if you've got a stick. You know, be motivated to get out there and build the business. So, as I said, network marketing is a great vehicle for people to start off slowly and build up and learn as you go along, without all the risks and stresses and hassles that you would have in a traditional business. But if you look at CFX and where we are in the global market, my goodness, talk about being in the right place at the right time. First and foremost, of course, we know there's a virus going on around us, and historically, network marketing companies have always done well in times of recession, haven't they? And it's simply because people actually wake up for the first time and go, actually, just having a job or just having one business is perhaps not a sensible thing. I can never understand that. I have plan A, B, C, D, E, F. You know, I have multiple things that I invest in and everything else to make sure that I'm covered every which way. But most people don't. Most people, you know, they only have the job, or they have, you know, just the business, and they are just 1 month away from going bankrupt. Pretty scary, really, when you actually think of that. And this is why this is quite a stressful time, not quite, a very stressful time for people. And it's something that we're seeing around us. People that we know are in traditional businesses, they're getting very concerned that they're going to lose their business and that kind of thing. So to have a product, a business, which is both training people how to make money and enabling people to make money through the Forex market without any upfront or ongoing fees in particular, that's a pretty special product to have in this particular marketplace. And I've had this conversation with many a person who, you know, many of them very successful business people. I was talking to a very successful business person the other day, had 3 businesses, all thriving. He built them up over 20 years. And thanks to the virus, over a 10-day period, all 3 failed after 20 years. And he said to me, my goodness, you know, if it hadn't been for CFX, he'd be in a really dark place right now. As it is, he's a director in the business on a 100K pack, making very serious money, just bought his wife a Range Rover. You know, so again, this is the thing about, you know, positioning yourself. The other thing to note is that in the coming 10 years or so, the baby boomers are going to start retiring en masse. And the challenge is that virtually none of them have got pensions. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen to all those people when they don't have money to live on? Do you think the government's going to pay for it? Well, no. And this is the thing: the governments have been burying their head in the sand, almost as if hoping it's going to go away and something's going to crop up. But what they're effectively doing is, because it's years down the line, they're ignoring it because they know it's going to have to be handled by future governments at some stage in the future. So what are all these people going to do for incomes? Go and get a job? Well, unfortunately, this is where the double whammy comes in, because Elon Musk was quoted just recently saying he has huge concerns because, of course, AI and robots are going to be taking over a large number, certainly, of manual tasks as we move forward. So the job market is going to be decimated. He's talking about major unemployment across the globe. So again, think about what we're offering in this market. It doesn't get better than that, does it? So very special. Now, of course, we're about to move into phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be amazing because it's going to be so easy to build the business then. Right now, we have to go through the due diligence. We have to show people, what's happening. And the company has finally relented. By the way, this wasn't me that announced. It was meant to be a secret, but one of the other leaders let it out the bag, and it is now common knowledge, or becoming common knowledge, the fact that the company is currently under audit. They're being audited by a reputable company regarding the trading returns. So in the coming, I don't know exactly when it's going to be done. The actual audit is literally a week or so away from being completed, but the company may not announce it because they want to launch it with certain other things that they're doing behind the scenes. They are, by the way, the company is doing some incredible stuff behind the scenes, guys. They're spending a fortune on the business.
Richard, do you want to mention what you felt like, just your emotion when you came off of that call that you and the leadership had a few weeks ago?
Yeah, well, we had a leaders call. It was just the top 5 leaders in the company with, it was Waskar Edwin, an international banking consultant, where they gave us a detailed overview exactly of what they're doing this year, and also the vision for the company longer term. And, literally, I had Jules, my wife, on the call with me, and, we just kept on looking at each other going, oh, my goodness. And I think the call finished at 12 a.m. in the morning. And Jules and I were so excited, we actually opened up a bottle of champagne. Because I'm telling you guys, when we get on this stuff, it is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. Because you think about it, copy trading, for example. Now, currently we're just in beta testing. But last month, we had a 30% return in the copy trading. It always makes me laugh, by the way. There's a lot of negativity out there. And I'll talk about this in a minute, about making sure you're doing your own due diligence so you understand what you've got with the business. So important. But the fact is, a 30% return. Imagine that product where people will be joining CFX, they'll be buying the Academy pack, okay, that 100% of that money comes to the person that's enrolling them, and obviously at the Unilever, etc. But then the rest of the fund, instead of being with CFX, is kept in their control. They go and set up their own broker account directly with the broker, completely independently of the enroller and CFX. They're depositing their own funds. The account is traded by the AWS system. They see their trading returns. They have access to their money 24/7. They don't have to withdraw it because technically it's already withdrawn. It's already in your broker account. And we're also going to be getting compound. Now, compounding is huge. We don't currently have compounding. And let me tell you guys, from a due diligence point of view, I was very happy with that. If I see a company where you're putting your money through a company and you have compounding, I'm deeply suspicious of that, because the thing about compounding is, and for those of you that don't know what compounding is, if you have, say, $1,000 traded on day one, you made $1,000 profit. Instead of, as we have in CFX at the moment, that $1,000 is traded every day, it never grows. With compounding, day one it's $1,000, day two it's 1,100, day three it's 1,300. So your account grows much faster. Now, if your money's inside a company, that's not good because it's very expensive to withdraw money. You don't want to withdraw your money because you want to compound. So I don't like that when I see that internal. But once it's external, if your money's in your own regulated broker account, it's safe. It's even, your money's even insured. If the broker fails, your money's protected there as well. CFX obviously has no access to it. It's your own money. So to have compounding in a copy trading account is fabulous because you'll see your accounts explode much, much faster, and it's safe to leave your money in the account. So things like that are just going to be, imagine that product with no monthly fees, remember, that's absolutely phenomenal in this market. The Academy program as well is not just a throwaway product, it's a world-class training product. The aim is to make it government accredited, and to do that, they have to have live trainings. They're going to be doing live trainings both online, but also at the head office. There's 150 capacity, classroom capacity there for students. But, you know, so if people want to learn how to trade the Forex market, this is a world-class product that they'll be able to take on, easily worth the money that's being paid for it. And of course, you know, the $2.5 million headquarters as well, you know, will be is purchased as soon as they move in. They're currently renting or leasing the office. As soon as they move in, they'll be purchasing the office. Again, Wascott, clever guy. I mean, he's done a fantastic deal. So he pays when they move into the office. He pays for the outstanding balance on the office, but the rent that he's paid actually comes off the bill. So smart, very smart. But again, for a company to be buying their own headquarters at this early on, it is just absolutely phenomenal. And there's other things, as I said, I can't talk about that they're working on behind the scenes, which are all absolutely amazing. So, you know, that's the thing we've got with CFX. We've got a business that is going to be the best business possible in this marketplace. You know, other network marketing companies, you know, I've been in, you know, product-based companies. I was the #1 income earner with a company, we can see that, called Melaleuca. I was the first executive director in Europe with that company. And the challenge with that is you've got a product, people have to buy the product. So in times of recession, when people are short of money, you end up with very high attrition because people leaving the business because the company ends up costing them money instead of making them money. Whereas CFX is the exact reverse. You know, when you're referring people to CFX, you know they're going to make money. So just a couple of sort of final things that I just want to talk about. Really, really, really important that you understand what you've got with CFX from a due diligence point of view. And the reason for that is that there's a lot of people out there that want to spoil your day. For whatever their motivation, whether they want to sell, whatever they're trying to sell or whatever, they will cast aspersions against CFX, which can cause you to wobble. And it's unlikely that you would leave CFX, but what it can do is stop you from building it. And that's a big problem. Because, you know, in 6-12 months from now, people that sit on the fence are then going to realize, damn it, I really should have gone to work during that period. So it's something that I always stress to people. Look, doing due diligence is not a guarantee. You know, I can't categorically guarantee you that CFX is going to be around in 6-12 months or whatever. However, my own personal due diligence shows that it is extremely unlikely that anything is going to happen with the company the way everything that they are doing. And when I see this, well, I don't even look at this negative stuff anymore because it's the same old rehashed, you know, rubbish that they come up with. And what they do is they look at it and they come up with angles, and I suppose that's the way you would describe it. So, for example, one of the things someone said to me the other day, oh yeah, one of the traders is a taxi driver, or used to be a taxi driver. And it's like, well, yeah, what's that got to do with a pound of fish? You know, are traders born? You know, you've got to start somewhere. And you look at someone like Joe Jardinsa, his teachers told him he wouldn't amount to much. Now look at him, he runs a $23 billion a year turnover company. So traders, you know, invariably come from other backgrounds. But again, they're missing the point, because the traders don't actually do the trading. The EA does the trading. The traders, the team of traders that we've got, their job is to monitor the market, which, by the way, again, was another thing that was very important to us when we looked at the business. The fact that if it was live traders, wouldn't have trusted it. If it was just bought off the shelf bots, wouldn't have trusted that either. The fact that you've got a team of people working with an in-house developed EA system, really important. And the traders are not actually doing the trading. They are monitoring the market. And then the engineers are constantly honing and optimizing the EA. That is a good business model. That is a sustainable business model, a really important one. But getting back to that point, that person was trying to indicate that just because someone was a taxi driver in the past, that the trading isn't real. But we know the trading's real because the brokers confirmed it on numerous occasions, and we had a 30% return on copy trading last month. Can't be faked. So what's that all about? It's just what they're trying to do. Well, there are some people that do it for no idea, but most of them do it because they're just making money. But it's really, really important. Again, if your goal is to make a lot of money with CFX, is to understand the due diligence on the project. And the thing about due diligence, as I said, it's not black and white. It's just, you just have to draw, there's option A and option B. And you just have to look at those options and say, okay, which is the more likely? So, for example, regarding the trading, the fact that the broker has recommended the company, there are people out there that go, well, does that prove the trading's real? Now, okay, so let's examine that just as an example. The broker is a regulated company. If any of you know anything about regulation, it means that you have, you watch everything you have to do. It has to be done properly by the book. If you did anything, which is not correct, you can get yourself into big trouble. Now, recommending a Ponzi would be a big tick box as far as getting yourself into trouble. So when the company recommended CFX on numerous occasions, several on video, you've got to then think, okay, option A, as a regulated broker, as the broker, by the way, just again so that you guys understand, the broker is the middleman. CFX does the trading, they are the broker, they hold the fund, and when CFX makes a trade, they then instigate that trade. So they see exactly what CFX are doing firsthand as it happens. So, so option A, the directors and owners of that company looked at what CFX are doing, could see that it was legit, and was happy to publicly recommend them. Or option B, they decided that they wanted to put themselves out of business, probably go to jail for up to 10 years by recommending a company that they could see firsthand wasn't trading. So, why on earth would they do that? So again, option A, option B, which is the more likely? So that's the thing about due diligence. There's nothing particularly clever about it. It's just having a look at the facts, stepping back and thinking about it. Like, for example, the fact that one of the traders may have a taxi driver background. So what? It doesn't mean anything when you step back and think about it. So when you get thrown that stuff, it's really important that to be honest, don't even look at it, because many of these things are just driving traffic. They use clickbait, CFX scam, this kind of thing, to get you to go onto their website. So don't even go there. But if you do, just step back, business hat on, and think, okay, what's the likelihood, A and B? And if you do that, you'll then have the confidence to go out and build a business. So that's the foundation. Once you've done your due diligence on CFX and see that it stacks up, then great. As I said, a few months from now, you really won't even have to do that, because it's going to be so obvious with everything that we're going to be getting, the copy trading, the audit, all these things. So it's going to be very easy for people to build a business. But guys, let me tell you, the trick, if you want to earn the big money, is building now. Okay, always. So that's the foundation. The second recommendation I talk about, I've already mentioned this, is treat the business as a real business. So as I said, if you were setting up a window cleaning business, John, it cost you, I think, was it 11,000 quid to get your business up and running?
Yeah, 11, 12,000, yeah.
Yeah. So $3,000 odd for the water filters and stuff, $8,000 for the van, and then 5 years of hard graft. With CFX, you can start for as little as $300. I started for $300. Okay, and I did that for a very specific reason, because I wanted to show people that you can make a lot of money even though if you start off with a small amount of money. And so you can start off incredibly, low risk, very small start, no overheads or ongoing costs with CFX. But what you can then do is you can then build it from there and treat it like a real business. And so this is the thing: is it worth your while building CFX? Well, I've already mentioned that we're in the right place at the right time with the market. With what we've got coming up the road, it is going to be massive. So you've definitely got that. But that's the other thing you need to understand, is the income potential, because so few people, again, really understand what you've got with CFX. Okay, and let's just cover a couple of things. So get to 100K pack, whether you do it passively or building a team. What's that going to be worth to you? Well, I'm on a 100K pack. It's generating around $3,500 a week. Do you think most people would be happy with $3,500 a week? Life-changing. Now, who can do that? Every single person on this call will do that. If you're building a business, you can do it within 6 to 12 months. If you're a passive member, it's going to take you a good few years, but you are going to get there. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you refer people, the fast starts in this business are ridiculous. Okay, now, one of the disadvantages I had when I came into CFX was the fact that I started off with $300, and I knew this would happen. Everyone did what I did, because people will do what you do. If I'd come in with $10,000 pack, people would have come in with much bigger packs. But the reality is, I started off with $300. People would say to me, Richard, what did you start off with? And I'd say $300. Okay, I'll start off with $300. Now, right away, I didn't have a problem with that, because I knew what was going to happen as we moved forward anyway. And that's something I took on a big leader literally just a couple of days ago. And, he said, what should I start with? And I said, $300. Okay, I never upsell, I never bother, just $300, that's fine, just come in $300, you can build it from there. So when I started, I only came in with 17 people initially over my first 6 months or so, so not a big number, and I can do that, by the way, guys, simply because I've been in the industry a long time. So, I have a slight advantage over if you're brand new to the business. You have to go back to where I started. When I first started, I realized I had to do the numbers to find the few. As Jim Rohn says, make up in numbers what you lack in skill. But I've built up, following over the years, so I could approach people that I knew were people that were leaders that could go to work. So, I have cheated slightly. But you can, as I said, you can do the same thing if you're brand new to the business by doing what I did, by just treating the business like a real business and building it from there. But those 17 people paid me on the fast starts in February. I haven't worked out the last couple of months, but in February, I received $46,000 just from the fast starts. So I've mentioned I've got a big team, 115,000. You may or may not be able to build a team like that. But the thing is with CFX, you really don't have to. The fast starts alone can make you life-changing money. You go out and introduce 10 people to CFX. When those people get to the 100K pack, that's going to earn you roughly $300,000 a year. $300,000 a year, guys, for 10 people. Again, think about that. What business on planet Earth can you make $300,000 a year with 10 customers? Not going to find it nowhere else. So this is phenomenal. And if you look at the people in the business, like Hazel, for example, Hazel Moore, the 70-year-old grandmother, she has consistently gone out there, promoted on Facebook, worked the business like a real business, promoted. She has now introduced 82 people. Think about how much money she is going to be earning a few years from now. Millions of dollars a year just in the fast starts alone. So, just those two bonuses. Forget, the fact we've also got the Unilevel, the Matrix, all the other bonuses we've got with this rewards plan. It is sensational, the money that can be earned with this business. It's such a great leveler. That's the thing I love about it. So couple of final things. Come into the business, make sure you've got a strong why, because as I mentioned, there's no stick in this business. You have to be self-motivated. So you have to understand what you've got, understand that it's real, have the confidence in that, understand the potential from the rewards plan, and have a strong why. So think about why you're doing this business. So if you're someone in your 50s or 60s, and for example, you don't have a pension, I'd consider that a pretty strong why myself. I would be a bit worried about what am I going to do when I'm going to retire. But many other things. Hazel's why, for example, was she wanted to buy an apartment near to where her grandchildren were, because they were over the other side of the country. So that was her really strong why, and that's why she went to work, and she worked really hard. And let me tell you guys, when she first started, she was terrible, absolutely terrible at it. Didn't have a clue, but she was persistent in her activity. She followed the power build system. If people asked the questions, she then came back and asked me, and I'd answer the questions for her. So again, that's where the upline support comes in. But she was doing that constant activity of showing. She's now got 82 people frontline, 2,000 people in her organization. She's a director. She's got a 100K pack, and she recently bought a beautiful penthouse apartment near to her grandchildren. So she achieved her goal. So having that why is really, really important, because that's what will motivate you to get out of bed. As I said, you can get to the end of the week in network marketing. If you haven't done anything, that's okay. If you're making 1 or 2 calls a week, again, that's okay. But think about that. If that was a real business, how long would you be in business if you were making 1 or 2 calls a week? Not very long. You'd be, out of business within a month or so. So treat it like a real business. So think about it. You've got tremendous support from your upline. They can work with you and help you, and go out there and build as big as you possibly can. And as I said, the great, wonderful thing about CFX is it doesn't matter if you don't go out there and don't build a massive business. Build up a business of 50 people, 100 people, get yourself up to the executive position where you're picking up those 5 and 6 bonuses on your 5th and 6th levels, that 20%, that can be life-changing. I noticed, by the way, someone on my 6th level, obviously had upgraded, and I received $1,800 just from one person on the 5th or 6th level of my business. No idea who they were, they're just in my business. So again, that's why the company set up the plan the way they have. You don't even have to build a big business to make life-changing money with this business. So it is worthwhile putting in the effort. And if you look at the top income earners in CFX, they're incredibly different people from all walks of life, different age groups, different cultures, different countries, different personalities. It doesn't matter. But one thing they do have in common, well, several things they have in common. As I said, they understood what they've got with CFX. They saw the potential from the plan. They had a strong why, and then they went to work. Activity. Getting it wrong. I've seen people grow their businesses very quickly, and I've seen people growing their businesses slowly. It took them ages to go to executive, then it took them ages to go to manager. But their business is starting to do this now. And what they'll see is their business will start to accelerate. So, when you look at the top of a mountain, it can seem a long way away, but what you've got to do is you've got to take those first steps, and you've got to get to base camp, get to executive, work from there to get to manager. Just have those goals short term, focus on those, and just keep stepping. Because again, that's a common theme that people often say to me, that I can't believe where I am. I started off 1s and 2s. And anyone that knows me and has been with me since the early days, they will have seen that that's exactly what I did. 1s and 2s. I didn't bring a big team of people with me. There are people in the business that brought big organizations into it. It was just 1s and 2s. I was on the phone, talking to people. And in those days, of course, we had no presentations. We had hardly any materials. It was literally, we were just telling people word of mouth. And it was just that activity. I like to call it ignorance on fire, because there were lots of details I didn't know about the plan or anything else. And, if someone asked me a question, I wouldn't necessarily know the answer, but I would use my upline, John, and John would ask his upline if he didn't know either. So we were just doing that activity, ones and twos, ones and twos, ones and twos, and you get that graph starting to go like this. And it's the same for everyone. You talk to any of the directors in the business. Hazel, again, is another great example of that. She can't believe where she's at. She cannot believe. She's not a business person. She's a 70-year-old grandmother, and she's going to be 70 this year. And she didn't have a clue when she came into this business, and now look at her. And in the early days, she was calling me all the time. Richard, I've got a question, got a question. Don't hear from her these days at all, because she's now a leader in her own right. She knows all the questions and all the answers. And she's doing the same thing for her team. So it's the same for everyone. And so 3 years from now, guys, we're going to have a big event. There's going to be, a big event, thousands of people in the audience, and there's going to be people on the stage living the dream. The houses, the cars, and everything else from all walks of life. You're going to get teachers, nurses, business people. Doesn't matter, any walk of life. They're on the stage, making, wonderful, wonderful incomes with CFX. And someone's going to say, yeah, but you know what? They got in first. And my answer to that is absolutely. I mean, let me tell you guys, getting in first is a great thing to be. It doesn't matter, not just in network marketing, in any business. When I invest in a startup company, for example, what am I doing? I'm getting in first. If you buy cryptocurrencies, I mean, look at the people that purchased in Bitcoin, when it was like a penny. Imagine, millionaires are being made all over the place with regard to Bitcoin. So being in first is a big advantage. But I would also comment that there are thousands of people in this audience that also got in first. But they sat on the fence. They made excuses. They got to the end of the week. They'd made a couple of phone calls. That's it. So what's the difference between the people in the audience and the people standing on the stage? Again, as I said, the people standing on the stage did their due diligence, didn't listen to other people, don't listen to me. If I told you to jump off a cliff, you wouldn't do that, would you? So do your own due diligence, get that confidence in the business, understand what we've got. If you've got any questions regarding your due diligence, then obviously ask your upline about that. But get that done, understand what you've got with the plan, and then think about why you are doing this business. If your goal is just to make a bit of extra money, great, that's fine. Just carry on the way it is. But if you really want to be someone that can change your paradigm, then whatever your current life is, or whatever, don't let that dictate on where you want to be with CFX. Because it really doesn't matter where you are now. It's where you end up. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to the top of the mountain, as long as you get to the top of the mountain. It doesn't matter if it takes you 6 months or 6 years. Once you're at the top of the mountain, it's a great view up there, let me tell you guys. Okay, so, and I think just one final thing, just again, to reiterate, I came into CFX with $300. I put no more money into the business. I worked my way up to the 100K pack in 8 months. Last month was the biggest payout in my entire life. From the 2nd of March to the 3rd of April, I withdrew $736,000. Okay, that's the business you've got here. Okay, and by the way, that's tiny. That's tiny. 3 years from now, that is tiny compared to what I'll be earning 3 years from now. All the directors, all the presidents in CFX, they're earning a lot of money with CFX, but you watch, 3 years from now, they're going to be making ridiculous amounts of money. I believe the biggest income earners in network marketing history will be in this business. Combination of being in the right place at the right time with a product that is absolutely perfect for the marketplace, with a rewards plan that is by far the best I've ever seen for everyone, not just the bigger income earners. So you're absolutely positioned in the right place. So guys, it's up to you completely. If you want to be one of those people in the audience, you'll still be doing well with CFX. No two ways about it. It's the great feature of this business. But if you want to be up on the stage, living the dream, then you've got the opportunity right here, right now. All right? Over to you, John.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm getting a lot of comments in the team chat. How effing much, Richard? Yeah, I mean, look, this is...
Can't live on it, guys. You just can't live on it. But, you know, you just have to struggle by.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously, I appreciate you taking some time, Richard. I've got a few questions that are coming through the team chat because the actual chat on here is disabled, I think. But one thing I wanted to state, when you were talking about those, you know, getting started, you know, in the beginning, it seemed slow. Now, we had this out on the team Zoom last week, which really kind of opened up our eyes. I think it was Clive that came out with it. And to realise that when you hit the 3K pack, you're actually halfway there. You know, and that just, I think that was a real penny drop for a lot of the folks that are on the team Zoom that night, because it does take a little bit of time getting through those initial first packs, the 3 to the 5 to the 1. But, you know, when you hit that 3K pack, just be aware. And we've got created our own roadmap as well. And to get to that 3K package is it's a 5-year roadmap if you're a complete passive customer. Never recruited anyone. Take you roughly about 5.9 years to get from the 300 to the 100K.
John, can I just very quickly jump in there?
Yeah.
I don't want to steer thunder, but just on that, okay, think about that.
Yeah.
Compare that with everything else out there. Now, if your money's in a bank account, are you going to get that money? No, you're not. In fact, I've actually just put a big chunk of money into a super saver account in my bank account, and I'm going to be making a whopping 0.1% a year. Can't wait. I'm going to be doing it up on that. So ridiculous. Now, again, pensions is the other alternative. You can put $300 a month into a pension for 40 years. So what you're looking at, over $150,000 invested to give you an income maybe of $20,000 a year if you're lucky, of course. A lot of pensions are really not performing. So compare that with CFX, $300 one-time purchase in 5-6 years. You're on $100,000 a year. Pretty good deal, isn't it? At the end of the day,
pretty good. Pretty damn good. Well, listen, I've got a few questions that I'm going to run through, but first off, I just want to say big shout out to Sarah Molinari, our 77-year-old superstar who's upgraded to the 50K pack today. So
well done, Sarah.
I'm just going to make that announcement here on the team. For the team, I will obviously, after this is done, create the image, so then we can do all the celebrations in the team chat, guys. Now, I had a couple of questions in. One which really sort of made me chuckle came in from Marcus. He messaged it to me early when I was out on the day job, and he asked, "Can you ask Richard if you had to join CFX again today, would you do anything differently in the build out and the structure of your business?"
No, it's quite funny. A lot of people structure their businesses and make it all pretty and everything else. I don't. I just come in and I just, as I said, it's ignorance on fire. It's just activity, 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 activity. And my wife calls me the machine because she saw me, what I was doing, and it was literally from often 7 in the morning till 2, even 3 in the following morning, 7 days a week. I was just on it, call after call after call after call. Every day I was getting to the end of the day and I'd literally lost my voice. In fact, when I went president, I had put so much effort into it. I was doing a presentation to 200 people, and halfway through the call, I literally lost my voice. All I could do was squeak. It was very embarrassing. I was like, literally had to end the call there. But that's the thing, one of the things about network marketing, and it's something I absolutely love. When I was in the corporate world, I used to work long hours, but you're always working those long hours. You're not getting anywhere. You're just like a hamster on a treadmill. In this business, you can go to work, and Hazel said this to me the other day. She said, "Oh, Richard, I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life." She said, "I don't feel like it's work because I really love it, but it's I'm working incredibly long hours." And the thing is, you do initially in your business, if you want to take it seriously, you work silly hours. But what you're doing is you're picking up gold bars. The analogy I use, you've got a big wheelbarrow, there's gold bars all over the thing. You're running around picking up as many as you possibly can. So what's going to happen is eventually, and the analogy I use, it's like pushing a big snowball up a hill. You're pushing and pushing and pushing. If you stop, At any time, the snowball will roll back down the hill. So you gotta keep pushing. But eventually you get that snowball over the hill and it rolls away. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You can't stop it then. And that's the beautiful thing about this business. If you're new, brand new to network marketing, it might take you 2, 3, even 4 years to get up to the big income. But once you've pushed and pushed and pushed to get there, that's it. You don't have to work anymore. You know, if I decided today to stop working, and I have to love what I do, so, you know, I would never do that. But the fact is, I could stop and my income will continue to grow and grow and grow. It wouldn't stop now. You know, I have a team of 115,000 people. It's growing by about 15,000 people a month now. That's nothing to do with me. You know, it's leaders in the business all doing their own thing. But in the early days, I had to push. So a long answer to your question, but that's the thing. I wouldn't do any different. It's all about activity. Doesn't matter how good you are. And John, you know, you're a classic example of this, aren't you? Because early on, you were sort of struggling with trying to get traction, but you just kept on that persistent activity. And now you're starting to see this growth, aren't you, in your business?
Yeah, there's absolutely no stopping it now, like you say. And I went for like a 90-day blast, if you like, when I really got the vision and really got the belief in CFX, and I just went after it for 90 days solid. And like yourself, my wife had become, you know, a widow, an internet widow, because I was in here night after night till the early hours, and she'd just stick her head in, right, I'm going to bed now. I was like, okay, good night, darling. See you soon. It did get a bit like that, but obviously now it's got to a stage now where I'm not personally, I would like to get your feedback on this. I'm not personally doing a lot in the recruiting side of things. It's more about the team now and working with the team. And like you say, that gives me so, I mean, I think that's the same for all of us that have got teams. It gives us all so much pleasure to actually see our teams developing and see our people developing and helping them, you know, get hands on and helping those guys. I mean, we do three-way calls and we do a lot of Zoom calls and stuff. And that becomes more pleasure. So, you know, like you say, the thing I've always said about networking is that it's a great leveler. Anyone can do it as long as you've got that why. And, you know, people often ask me, John, you're going to quit the window cleaning now, right? And I say, well, no, not really. I love my day job, especially summer's coming. So it's always the best time of year to be a window cleaner. But at the same time, my window cleaning job has looked after me for a long time, and I feel that sort of that responsibility to keep plugging away while I need to, or don't need to, but while I enjoy to. But I'm building CFX as my get out of the day job plan, you know. So I've got a 5-year plan now. So, you know, I'm going to keep building it. And I've said to the wife, you know, when she's 55, when she can start drawing her pension, and that's it. It's game over. That's the plan, you know. And whatever may happen, I have got wheels in motion. I've got someone that's coming out with me 1 day a week now. It's going to take things over for me if I decide to go away in the summer for 4 weeks, if we're allowed out. But this is all moving in the right direction. Right, so that's that first question. I've got another question which came in from Nigel in the team chat, which I'm just going to bring up quickly. Right, so he's asking about the under 18s. Now, we know that there are people that do it, okay? They use a sponsor, a relative, a father, or a mother, or whatever, to create an account for their siblings. Now, is it any way that when that sibling comes of 18 years old, that the account can be switched over in name to the sibling?
Yeah, so the username would probably stay the same, but you can change the email address, remember, and you can change the authenticator code, so they can take over the thing. They would just change the wallet to their own wallet, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's easy to switch across. So yeah, no problems. But I think, can't remember whether you, regarding the actual name on the account, whether you have to write in a support ticket,
right,
or you just change the details. I don't know, but with one or the other, it's a simple process.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for answering that. So Nigel, hopefully that answers that question for you, mate. Can you explain, because obviously we have a lot of people ask the question, what happens when you hit that 100k pack?
Well, first and foremost, one of the things you'll notice is that particularly if you're a business builder, you're obviously plowing back a lot of your profits into from the team to upgrade your pack all the time. And so, for example, myself, I wanted to get to the 100k pack as quickly as possible. So I put most of my profits to get there as quickly as possible. I think I withdrew around $30,000 over my first 8 months, so took it out as a salary. And I used, for example, my leadership bonuses as an income source. My manager and director positions, I just took that as an income. But once you get to the 100k pack, obviously you've now got there. So you need to save up. Obviously, you need $100,000 net to be able to renew the pack. So $125,000 gross, less than 20%. But everything else then you can start taking out. Now, of course, because you've got to the 100k pack, you've upgraded and upgraded. That means that for example, when I started, I think I was on about 80%, already on the pack. So there's less fat on the bone. So you do make a lot more money than you were before, but you've still got to allow for the fact that you've got 120% left on it on the bull or whatever, and you're going to need the 125k to be able to renew. But when you renew, and what happens is you let the pack complete. So you let the pack complete, and you've got then until the following Friday to renew it. So you've got plenty of time. You won't lose commissions or anything when that happens, and then you just basically renew the pack. But that's when it becomes really exciting, because of course your account is now back to zero. So you've got the full 200% on the bull and 200% on the bear, and so you're obviously, again, you have to save up the $100,000 net to renew it, but everything else you take out.
I think
everything else.
Yeah, I think that was important that people understand that, because also, and not forgetting now, that was the reason why they've put in that place where you can actually downgrade to the 70 or the 50k, right? And it's what Ron Pope said on the call, I don't know, a few months ago. It's all about that money management comes into play, isn't it? So that's the zone that I'm in now, money management, putting it all aside and bearing in mind that if I want to take a little bit out here and there, I can, because obviously with the bonuses and the fast starts and the uni levels, we have started treating ourselves here and there, me and Mrs. Bone, and it's great to know that we have also that fallback if you can go to the 70k or the 50k. Right, so brilliant. One other question we had in, now that the new payment processor is in place and up and running, what are your views on the reasons that the payouts aren't necessarily any quicker?
Well, you've got to remember, it's always Bitcoin dependent and other factors within the business, the time it takes. But just talking about the payment processor, a lot of people really don't understand what the payment processor means for CFX. It's huge, guys. I mean, it's absolutely huge, because no company that wasn't serious about the business long term would do that. It's incredibly expensive, incredibly time consuming. They were working on it for well over a year, I think. I was talking to Ron Pope, who's the CEO of the Conversion Pros, the technology consultant the company uses. And, he was saying it was a huge undertaking. They had to get regulation, all this stuff, compliance, and very complicated process. Cost the company a very serious amount of money. So, why would CFX do that? I mean, LivePay was working fine. We've all been using that for the first, whatever it was, 18 months or whatever. So why did CFX do this? Well, they've done it to protect the company long term. That's the idea. If you're going through a third-party payment process, and let's face it, that's a pretty important process, isn't it? Money in, money out. So, if the payment processor collapses, decides they don't want to deal with us anymore, or worse still, runs off with the money. By the way, that has happened to companies over the years. Then that's devastating for the business. It would be game over, basically. So again, Waskar, very typical of Waskar, he's planning ahead, thinking ahead, and they've invested the money into that to make sure that we've got a business that's protected long term. Now, it will speed up things regarding and streamline things with money in, money out. Although, having said that, we've now got quite an interesting scenario, because obviously we're purchasing with Bitcoin. You may notice that sometimes when you're upgrading, or you're doing that with a member, that it takes a long time for the upgrade to go through, and for the money to go through, and that's not CFX. It's not the new payment processor. It's actually blockchain, because there's so much going on, in Bitcoin at the moment. Institutions are going into that market. As you may have noticed, I don't know if it's gone up again, but last time I looked, it was like $64,000. Absolutely crazy. So that is the volume that's causing the delays thing. I don't understand the detail, but it's something to do with mining or something. But that's what's causing those kinds of delays. With regard to payouts, well, I mean, it hasn't really particularly accelerated things, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day, as long as the company's paying out, and that's what they are. And by the way, that's just as an aside. It's also something that makes me laugh when people sort of say, oh, well, the trading's not real. Well, if the trading's not real, I can tell you, CFX wouldn't be around by now. I mean, there's no way. You think about that. How many people join in a week, and how much money do they pay out? Tens of millions of dollars every week. And there's no way they could do that if it was just based on new people joining the company. X number of people come in with $300. Do you think that's going to cover the cost of the month?
Yeah. It simply doesn't add up, does it? Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know the ins and outs on that specifically, but the fact is they pay out always. Yeah. That's the main.
And yeah, I mean, for example, I know that I normally request a payout now on a Sunday night, okay, and it normally hits my wallet Thursday or Friday night. In fact, I came home tonight and it's hit today, so Thursday, okay.
Yeah.
So it's taken 4 days for my last week's payout to come in. So I'm not worried about it. It's all seems to be working tickety boo as far as I'm concerned. I'm quite happy with 4 days. I think the longest I waited was 7 days, 7 business days. So yeah, all good on that department. Obviously now we're into a new tax year, Richard, and a lot of the people, including myself, are now looking into becoming tax efficient. Now I know you did a call with your guy a good few months ago. What would you recommend people do? Obviously, we're all at different levels, and we're all at, now I'm not asking for tax advice here, but I'm asking, we need to all basically be talking to our accountants, getting things in order, because a lot of us obviously joined after April of last year. And so we've just completed the tax year. So it's the next, till January 31st, we have to get our house in order.
Yeah. Well, so what I would say on that, again, I'm not going to offer tax advice, but really, really important you pay tax, and really, really important that, you do it properly. Don't hide money. It's a temptation to hide money and stuff. I do not advise that at all. So make sure you're speaking to your accountant and what you need to do. The structures that I have are not, tax structures. They are asset protection. And that's a key thing. So what I'm doing is I'm protecting my assets. So for example, if I invest in something, it is protected by the trust. I'm looking to buy a house in October. It's currently being built at the moment. And when I do that, it will be owned by the trust. It won't be owned by me, it'll be owned by the trust. So that is protected thing. The funny thing is I'll actually be paying rent when I'm living there. I'm paying it to my own trust, but everything has to be done by the book, and you have to make sure it's done legally. This is why I use trusts, because they are legal. Everything goes on my tax returns, even things like capital gains, for my 300 and 100K cash, on my tax returns, so it's all, done properly. So that's my strong recommendation. Speak to your accountant. And of course, if you then want to, start making really good money with CFX,
then, you know, by all means, I'm very happy to put you forward to my asset protection consultants, and they can, you know, give you an overview so you can sit from there.
Speaking of which, I actually have a call booked in with Stephen over the weekend. So yeah, that's
you'll find him extremely knowledgeable. You know.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, I mean, if no one's got any other, I'm just checking our team chats. There doesn't seem to be any other questions on here. Sean's just put in a comment, you know, with the technology we have these days, you don't even have to leave your house. I mean, look at this. We're doing a meeting in Nigeria, and myself, Sean and Richard are going to be live streaming into that meeting in Nigeria on the 1st of May, just to give our own sort of testimonial. So it is.
I was going to say, can I just add to that? I mean, seriously, this is a wonderful time to do things. You know, I often work, you know, on boards of companies, and, you know, we don't even now do face-to-face board meetings. You know, it's all done, same thing in here. You know, you don't need to meet people, which, of course, by the way, is another key thing with the virus right now, is the fact that obviously it's a virus-safe business. You can work exclusively from home. I have lots of leaders that, you know, I was talking to one of my leaders in Norway. They're traveling all over the country, meeting people, this, that. Yeah, great, you can do that. But I've done that in the past, and, you know, I've traveled all over the place, you know, in Europe and everything else. And I hated it because I had no life. I was always traveling and this, that, and the other. And, you know, I'm testament that you can build a business online, because I've got a team of 115,000 people, and I've not met one person, not one.
Well, we know that's going to change soon, Richard. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, again, one thing I won't do is I won't go and do meetings, because if I go and I do a presentation, people go, okay, great, that's fantastic, Richard, we want you to come back. So they then invite me to come back. So I'm going over there, and I'm going over here, and I'm going over here, and I'm going over here. Before I know it, I've got no one. I'm just traveling. I'm a traveling car salesman, basically.
Yeah.
So just don't want that. And so just like as you said, the call in Nigeria, you know, we can do it, you know, via screen. I did one just the other day in Norway, works superbly. I think obviously for the big corporate events, yes, you know, go along to those, and of course we'll meet you all there. But other than that, you know, we don't need to, we don't need to. It's just so inefficient. Yeah. You know, you're traveling in your car for 2 hours to meet someone who then doesn't turn up. You know, so that's then 2 hours back again, 4 hours. And, you know, I remember in my early career, I actually lost people because of that. I would drive 2 hours, meet them, have a 2-hour meeting, and the person would say, wow, Richard, this is amazing what you're doing. I'm really interested. But he said, I'm not going to do it. I said, why? He said, well, how long did it take you to get here? I said, 2 hours. He said, we just had a 2-hour meeting. You've now got to have a 2-hour drive back. That's 6 hours. I'm a businessman. I don't have time for that. And he was dead right. Okay. And now I would have pointed out to him that he's talking about leverage, because if he'd then joined, he would have leveraged my time multiple times over. So there is that. I didn't have the experience at the time to say that, but he was right. So I could have an hour or 2-hour call with him if necessary, and then he would have seen the potential of that. And so let the tools do the work for you. Even though I did the presentations with that business, I learned that I just show a video of me doing a presentation. So I'm sitting there with the person, showing them a video of me doing the presentation. Why did I do that? Because I was showing them that they could do that. Okay? It took me out of the equation. Okay, so I think that was one of the mistakes I made from when I came into the business from the corporate world, because I was doing presentations that I did because my job was to do presentations to the boards of companies like Glaxo, Daily Mail, companies like that, banks, and, you know, multi-million-pound contracts. So I then tried to apply the same thing to network marketing, and I was sitting in front of people with graphs and documents, and the person was sitting there looking like a scared rabbit in the headlights, thinking, oh my God, do I have to be like this person to build a business? And so people were just saying no because they just felt they couldn't do it. So again, that's when I learned that you've got to let the tools do the work for you, because everyone can use the tools. Makes everyone the same, doesn't it?
Yeah,
which gets back to what I was saying, the business is a great leveler.
One last question, okay, before we let you go, Richard, and get your tea. Any news? I know the answer pretty much, but any news on the North America issue? Like
right,
Canada?
So again, yeah, well, I mean, basically, it depends when the company launches copy trading. Now, it's quite funny. A lot of people go, oh, you know, it's not good that CFX are in the US and Canada. But again, if you understand business, yeah, it's a very good thing that we're not in the US and Canada. Why? Because what does that tell you about CFX? Now, CFX was a scam. They wouldn't care. The US market's huge, so they'd just be trading in there because the plan is just to run off with everyone's money at some stage in the future. CFX are not doing that. Why? It's because the plan is that they will be trading in the US and Canada, but doing it legally. So currently the company would be non-compliant in there. And one of the main reasons, for example, is that EverFX are not licensed to trade in those markets. So the company is currently getting on board additional brokers. And we also need the copy trading and the academy program. You've got to remember that the legal team advising CFX are actually American-based. They're based in Washington, D.C. The lead lawyer in that firm is the ex-lead litigator for the SEC. So it doesn't get better than that. I mean, he's the guy that used to actually prosecute people for being non-compliant. So that's why everything you see with the plan and everything as we move forward in phase 2 is designed so that we can be squeaky clean in what we're doing. So we need that new broker, the academy program, and the copy trading for us to be able to relaunch. Now, timeframes on that, 3 to 6 months, maybe something like that, depending. In a conversation I had with Waskar, he was kind of indicating he wants to launch the copy trading at the same time as some pretty massive stuff that they're working on behind the scenes. So it depends on how quickly they can get that done. So as I said, it could be, I mean, it could be, it'll definitely be this year, but hopefully within 3 to 6 months. But not a guarantee. It depends on those other things.
Okay, but it's you know, I hope that impresses upon you all guys. You know, we know that it's painful for the guys in Canada, and it's painful same for the guys in Cyprus. You know, it's painful that these things have happened, but hopefully you'll take some confidence from that they're doing is being done for the right reason. You know,
well, that's it. When we actually do launch there, you're going to be legal.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to build with confidence, you know, with copy trading and all the other things. So it's going to be an absolute monster business for you, and you just know that what you're doing is right, legit, and above board, and it's not going to get shut down in 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many companies recently that have gone out of business because they were just carrying on as normal and we disregarded the rules and regulations. So,
well, again, this is where people that go into those companies, you know, there are companies out there, and I won't mention names, but, you know, I'm seeing people joining and I'm going, what are you doing? You know, do some due diligence on it. I mean, it's just, I don't know what people consider due diligence, but it's just nuts. They're ignoring all the key things. And one of the fundamental things is a lot of these businesses are illegal. You know, they pay out, you know, directly on an investment product, and you're not allowed to do that. So, you know, this is why we're moving into phase 2. Currently, we're kind of sort of grayish area at the moment, because obviously, yeah, we are getting paid on the academy program, but you could look at that and go, well, we haven't got the academy program yet. Well, we do. We obviously have what we have in the back office, but it's not fully operational yet. So an authority could potentially go, well, you know, yeah, you're saying that you're paying out on the product, but really you're selling the trading side. Obviously, our lawyers would disagree with that, but so as I said, it's a slightly grey area. But this is where phase 2 comes in, where, you know, when you're referring someone, they're buying the academy pack, you know, and you're getting paid commissions on that. If anyone looks in your back office, all they'll see in there, no trading in there, just, you know, the fact you're getting paid commissions for selling an academy program, which is a government accredited world-class product that is worth the money that's being paid for it. And the trading side is completely separate. You know, it's just a recommendation. If I refer you to a mortgage and get paid a commission on it, I need a license. But if a friend of yours will say, listen, you should use this particular mortgage company, well, that's fine. You know, I'm not offering financial advice. I'm not getting paid for it or anything else. So that's why the company's being set up like this. And again, these are things that when you're looking at the business, you know, that shows you this company's doing it properly.
Brilliant. Okay, listen, Richard, we'll let you get off, mate. Thank you very, very much. Oh, Well done, Nigel, on his 5K upgrade, and also Derek on his 2K upgrade. Okay, so just throw them in.
Guys.
We'll just throw them in there to finish off with. So,
as you upgrade, you'll see your accounts accelerating. That's the exciting thing. It's also trading more money. So.
Yeah, I can talk from experience. Once it gets going, and once you get over those initial packs, it just speeds up and speeds up and speeds up. It's quite phenomenal. Well, listen, mate, really, really appreciate you coming on tonight, Richard.
My pleasure. Hope you found that helpful, guys.
Yeah, much appreciated. And guys, we'll do the team Zoom as well in 3/4 of an hour. I'll just go and run and grab something to eat quickly. I suggest you all do the same, and we'll jump on the team Zoom and have a chat on there later. All right, Richard, thank you very much. Cheers, buddy. See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.